Hey, what's up guys? KaijuLou here, and welcome to another edition of the Super Game Strikers Rants, where today I will be doing a rant. We'll take a step back from Resident Evil 7 to Resident Evil 6, and why I like the game so much. And also, before we begin, I want to apologize ahead of time. If you guys hear any loud noise or popping in the background, that's because well, this is recorded on the 4th of July time, so I guess happy Independence Day to everybody out there. And yeah, so pretty much all day long, well, it's been going on the whole weekend. My neighborhood, they love their fireworks, they love their firecrackers, and they've been popping all day, noon, and night. So yeah, I'll apologize ahead of time if you guys hear any of the popping in the background. But without further ado, let us jump right into this rant. As you guys know, way back when I did my Resident Evil 7 rant, I said that, you know what, if I'm going to give Resident Evil 7 a chance, and I have such high hopes for the game, I might as well just give Resident Evil 6 a chance. After you guys heard me talk about the game and how I felt about it all these years, I'm like, you know what, since I've never really played the game all the way through, you know what, I am going to do it. I am going to go through with it, and I am going to play the whole entire game all the way through. And as you guys know, from one of our most recent podcasts about a week or so ago, Zone 16 of the Super Game Strikers podcast, I admitted, well, this was during my other rant when I was giving my little spiel about how I felt about Brock Lesnar being on the cover of WWE 2K16. I kind of went off the bend and for lack of a better term, and saying that, you know what, I just played Resident Evil 6 throughout that whole week, and you know what, I love that game. I love Resident Evil 6, and I love Sonic 06. Just to throw another thing out there, but right now it's about Resident Evil 6, and I'll be honest, first things first, I'm gonna have to apologize because not to myself, but to all the people out there who actually loved the game and who actually liked the game or even thought it was alright. I'm gonna have to say, especially to the game itself, I have greatly misjudged Resident Evil 6. I really did, you know. I'm not ashamed to admit it. You know, I take back all that I said, calling thinking that the game was a travesty. It's one of the worst things out there, but it's not. It honestly isn't. It is totally far from it. You know, and I regret it because, of course, as you know, Resident Evil 6 came out way back in October of 2012, and I've wasted 4 years. I've honestly wasted 4 years of not playing this game. Yeah, you know, I'm honestly to blame. I'll be honest with myself. I'm honestly, you know, I only have to blame myself here because I was the one who was, you know, ignorant enough and stupid enough to listen to, you know, haters or people who looked down at the game and didn't really like it and just completely bashed and panned the game, calling it one of the worst things ever and stuff, and I just listened. I just took their word. I listened to the reviews, and yeah, you know, I blindly followed it, and you know what? This is a lesson learned, not just for Resident Evil 6, but for all other games out there. You know, just like games like Sonic 06 and stuff, or any other games, you know, of course, these are not great games, they're far from it, of course, they all have a million flaws, of course, but Um, if you're a longtime fan of a game, or if there's a new game out there and you guys want to try it out, but you're hesitant because of what you've been hearing about what people say about the game, saying, oh, it's bad, it's no good, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me, I know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm talking, you know, no. At the end, the person who should make the final judgment of the game is yourself. And the only way to do that is by playing the game yourself. Because just because of what all these hundreds of thousands of people, of what they say about this game, does not necessarily mean that you're going to agree with them or think that it's a bad game as well. Far from it. Another perfect example, just recently, Sega Sean and Retro Nick, during their Super Game Strikers Let's Play, Sean picked up on that same day Mighty Number 9, the recent, one of the newest games that came out, which was supposed to be the spiritual successor to Mega Man. And of course, the game got panned and was hated on for every single reason you could think of under the sun. But Sean, he decided, he's like, you know what, I'm gonna play the game myself and see how it is. And biggest shocker, Sega Sean actually loves the game. He actually loves, he had fun playing Mighty Number 9. And of course, he's not saying that the game is perfect and the game is flawless. Of course the game's got problems, he can see that. But, you know, it's not as bad as what people make it out to be, you know, aka on the internet. And or when it comes to reviews and stuff, you know, a lot of it can be greatly exaggerated, a lot of it can be, you know, greatly blown out of proportion, to the point where, you know, you're really something is really getting overblown here, to the point where in hindsight, it's actually not that bad of a game, and you're missing out on some serious fun here. I don't know. Bottom line is, don't judge a game by what other people say about it, or you know, just like the old saying goes, don't judge a book by its cover. And this not only applies for video games, but this honestly could apply to everything in life as well. So yeah, perfect life lesson here, folks. And don't judge a book by its cover goes greatly as well for Resident Evil 6. as you can see, as everyone can agree on about how horribly bad the cover is. The 6 logo, for the obvious reasons, if you guys know the joke about it. But yeah, don't judge a game by its game covers. So yeah. Now, during my time playing Resident Evil 6, I decided to kind of make a list here. Well, it's not really that much of a list, but, you know, it's kind of like a pros and cons thing. Like, some of the things that I like about Resident Evil 6, and some of the things that are, you know, the cons about the game that I don't really like, or I think they could have improved on, and I could see people having a problem with. But yeah, some of the things I have here is that, you know, I guess I can go pros first, then cons. For pros, some of the things I have here is that Resident Evil 6, it's an overall good story. It's an overall good story, you know. The graphics are great. You know, the theme is great, and the story is great overall. And I'm not going to get into too much detail with the story itself, but yeah, because, you know, spoilers and whatnot, and I know it's a 4-year-old game and everyone should have played it by now, but, you know, for people out there, especially like, you know, aka me, who hasn't played the game yet, and, well, I have played the game, sorry about that if I mixed it up here, but for people who haven't played the game yet and still not sure if they want to give it a chance or not, or might want to, or are going to end up picking it up right after this rant, which I strongly recommend. So yeah, I'm gonna avoid the spoilers here. It's a good story overall. Story is great and stuff, and it takes place during the, you know, in between 4 different scenarios, 4 different stories that all intertwine or have a connection with each other, which are the stories of Leon's part of the story, Leon S. Kennedy, Chris Redfield's story, brand new character Jake Mueller's story, and as well as Ada Wong having her own story as well. And yeah, so these are pretty good stories, pretty fun, and each one has their own unique style. Each one has their own unique taste. Each one is completely different in terms of gameplay or style and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty cool how it has the game is split up in this sort of diversity. The game, I'll be honest, Resident Evil 6, the AI in this game, here's another pro, 100 times better. I'm dead serious. 100 times better than the AI in like Resident Evil 5. And I mean it, because I'm actually really shocked by how good the AI is. And because, you know, like Resident Evil 5, I like the game as well. It's a good game, but the AI, not so much for that game. You know, especially with your partner. If you're playing the game by yourself in single player mode, whether you're Chris or Sheva and the AI plays the other character, your other partner, they don't do much. It's such a pain in the ass. While you're, you know, fighting monsters and surviving, the AI partner's just running around like a chicken with its damn head cut off. That's how bad it is and stuff. But while Resident Evil 6, the partner, the AI partner in that game actually has your back. The AI partner actually supports you. It sticks with you. It actually helps you defeat enemies. It actually helps. It actually, the AI is actually very, very smart and very, very tolerable in this game. I have to say, to my surprising, you know, and it's very, very refreshing to see, because, you know, yeah, it just you know, makes you feel good. It's very reassuring to know that, you know, if you're playing a single player campaign in games like Resident Evil, it's always nice to know that the AI in the game has your back all the way through. You know, that's a really nice thing. Another pro I gotta say, good co-op. The co-op in this game is I haven't really played the co-op yet. I hope to someday with someone, possibly Sega Sean. That is, if he gets his own PS3, or even you can even come over, I think, and you can just play split screen while you have a second PS3 controller with the person with you. I think that you're able to do that, because I know you can do that in other Resident Evil games, I believe. Yeah, the co-op looks really fun. There's a lot of stuff in the game that you can tell is very, very co-op heavy, and that gets both players involved. Like, one reason is that the game has a lot of vehicles that you control in this game. From boats to snowmobiles to cars to motorcycles and helicopters, even jets. And it's all really fun, and both you and your partner are inside these vehicles, and you guys even switch off during mid-level, and it looks really fun. It looks really fun for co-op. It gets both players together, it gets them to work together, like a scene during Chris's story with him and his partner, another new character named Piers Nivens, where both of them are doing a car chase scene on a highway. And both of you are driving this big Hummer, while one player controls the driving and the other player controls the machine gun in the back. And then once you get to the middle of that level, you guys switch off with the other player does the driving and the other one does the shooting, and vice versa. So yeah, and I know you guys are wondering too, you're like, hey, riding and shooting within a Resident Evil game, that's kind of odd, to say the least, because that's not Resident Evil to me. That's not how I remember it. But like I said, like I said before, give it a chance. You guys can give it a chance. Please do, because it is not bad. It is not that bad at all, and it's actually even really fun. Another one of my favorite vehicle levels, well, that takes place that's very co-op heavy. It's gonna have to be the jet flying. Like I said, no spoilers here, but there's a scene in the game where Chris and his partner fly a jet as well, and one player controls the flying and the other one controls the shooting and stuff. And I'll be honest, it reminded me a lot of Star Fox. That is, if two players were in the R-Wing. But either way, I think that's possible. I think that's a new feature too in the new Star Fox Zero game. The co-op feature, I believe. I'm not sure. I have to see. I haven't really tried out the co-op yet in Star Fox Zero, but I'm gonna have to say that's what it kind of reminded me of when you were flying the fighter jet in this game as well. But like I said, good co-op. Another pro, like I said, that's cool is the 4-part scenario. 4 stories between 4 different main characters. Each one has their own final boss. Each one has their own monsters to deal with and stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna have to say one of my favorites. I'm gonna have to say one of my top 2 favorite characters to play in the story is gonna have to be Jake Mueller. Jake Mueller in the game as well. And before I go any further, spoilers. But not really, because I'm not gonna say much. There's a part in the game where Jake, let's just say Jake has superhuman abilities. There's a scene where Jake fights this giant monster who kind of stalks him in the game. The monster, he's known as, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, but the Ustanak. And the Ustanak, I heard, is a Serbian word for revolution. And this monster, he reminds me a lot of Nemesis. He's pretty much a big Nemesis-type monster, except he has different weapons, different features, and he has this mechanical arm that he can detach objects to and use like different weapons on them. But he's pretty much like a Nemesis-type character. And there's a cool scene where him and Jake are in a boss battle, and it's a hand-to-hand fight. Hand-to-hand combat between Jake and the Ustanak, and it's really fun. It's really fun to have this, average-sized person fighting this giant BLW Nemesis-like monster. It is something really cool. I don't know. It's really cool, and you won't be able to see that, happen. And it's something like Resident Evil 3, Jill fighting the Nemesis head-on, and in hand-to-hand combat, because no. And I know this may sound goofy or cheesy or whatever, but it's fun. It's really fun, and it's really cool to see. And yeah. And my final pro here on the list is that, all in all, this game is still Resident Evil, but it is presented in a different light, is the best way that I can describe it. I mean, of course, it's pretty much Resident Evil, action-based Resident Evil. Of course, it's definitely more towards the action direction. But it still has a lot of horror elements too, especially Leon's. I'm gonna have to say, Leon's story is very horror heavy. I gotta say, because there's a lot of spoopy scenes in there. You go through a graveyard, there's zombies and even tons of zombies, and lots of very new creatures and dark corners, and of course, it also has traditional Resident Evil stuff, like puzzle solving, like, looking for stuff and solving puzzles and doing codes, and, it still has a lot of the Resident Evil formulas. That's what it is. It's pretty much Resident Evil. It has all the ingredients, it has all the formulas, except it's presented in a different light, and it's completely blown the story itself as Resident Evil on a global scale. As a hint to the story, for people out there who haven't played it yet. So there's my list of pros here as to why I like Resident Evil 6, and now on to some of the cons. The first con that I have here, well, before I begin, a lot of these cons, they may sound a little bit nitpicky, but this is just me. This is just me personally and how I feel about it. But yeah, like one of the ones I have here is the funny walking in this game. I don't know. Once again, I might sound nitpicky here or whatever, but the way the character walks or moves in this game, it feels a little funny to me. I don't know. I don't know. I can't really describe it, because there's like times where, you know, the character walks fine and stuff, but when it comes to like normal walking, or if you're not sprinting in the game, yes, there's a sprint feature here, but if you're not walking, I don't know, like the character can't really walk straight if you push the analog stick straight. I don't know, it's like they're walking diagonally and you have to like kind of swerve the control stick a little bit from time to time in order for them to maintain walking straight. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm being really nitpicky here, or yeah, I don't know. And the sprint feature too, it's cool and stuff, but when it comes to like, you know, sprinting levels where you're gonna have to sprint and, you know, it requires you to turn corners and stuff, it's kind of really hard to turn your character while he's sprinting, especially in those corners where you have to like make those quick turns and stuff, because at least to me, I don't know, maybe I have to get good. as me and Sega Sean always say, but when you sprint and you're about to turn a corner, it's like your character you have to make him do a complete stop, then turn him around, then continue sprinting. I don't know. Maybe that's just me and I'm not doing it right. But yeah, that's one con. Another con I'm gonna have to say, probably one of my biggest pet peeves for video games, QuickTime events. I honestly don't like QuickTime events. Ever since I've played God of War, because God of War was probably the first game series that I've played that is really heavy on QuickTime events, especially when you battle both henchmen and bosses. But it really irks me, because you feel like especially I hate those QuickTime events where if you don't do the buttons right, if you don't hit them right, if you mess up, your character dies. That's it. Instant death. Game over. You have to start all over again. I hate that. I think this is bullshit. Complete BS. And you feel like a goofball. You feel like a complete idiot. I don't know. Them reflexes, I guess. You know, like an example here, I get, you know, that really irked me because I must have got killed like 3 to 5 times in Resident Evil 6 here in this simple scene. In Ada's story, she has a boss battle against this chainsaw monster. Kind of like Dr. Salvador from Resident Evil, the chainsaw guy from Resident Evil 4. This creature is mutated and has a chainsaw attached to its arm, and of course it's trying to kill Ada and hack her with it. And as you're fighting him, at the end of that boss battle, there's a scene that requires QuickTime events where you have to hit the button quickly 3 to 4 times and it pops up on the screen. I put my control down and, well, I didn't really have it down. I was just relaxing, but then I thought it was a cutscene, but it had QuickTime events. Press R1, press R1. I didn't do it. I died. Start all over again in the boss fight. I did it again. Hit R1 button. Hit X. Hit X. Hit X right away. I didn't. I got scared. Hit triangle like a dumbass, and I got hacked. Died. Start over. I hit R1. I hit X. Third button. Square. Didn't see it coming. We all know what's next. And then finally, that's after like one more try, I did it. And I'm like, well, this is going to affect my ranking. Because they rank you as well on time, on, you know, the time it took you to beat the level, as well as the number of deaths and retries that you took in that level to beat it. Yeah, that was not a nice sight, and it could get people mad. It could get people really, really pissed off, like me. So, big con for this game for the QuickTime events. Or if you guys like QuickTime events and you're good at it, you got them reflexes, that's fine by me. You know, I respect that. That's cool. But yeah, it's still a big no-no for me, especially for Resident Evil games. The next con that I have for this game is the stamina system. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I hate any sort of stamina system that is there in video games. When I look back, the very first video game that I've played that had a stamina system, I think was SmackDown, was back in the old SmackDown vs. Raw days from the WWE wrestling games. I think it was 2006, 2007, that was the first wrestling game to feature a stamina system where, you know, your characters, the more they wrestle or the more physically active they are in the game, they get tired, and that affects their performance, and that affects their strength and their effectiveness, and yeah, but thank God there's a setting in that game back then that where you could like turn off the stamina system, because thank God, I was so sick of it. And I know stamina systems, you know, are supposed to add more realism to the game and stuff, because, you know, they want you to look at these characters that you're playing and remember that these guys are human. They're human just like you and me. In their world, they have limits. They, you know, they need time to breathe and, you know, and to recover. And they just can't do all this stuff forever. But I don't know. I'm like, save stamina for the real world, not in video games, because that's just to me, because a stamina system is a really big hindrance to gameplay. Like, this game had a stamina system while you're sprinting, or when, you know, Resident Evil has big melee combat system. You know, the more you fight hand to hand, the more tired your character is going to be, and he's not going to be able to hit right anymore, or kick right, or he's not going to be able to run as fast because he has to catch his breath, and it takes time for your stamina gauge to go back up. And that kind of sucks, because yeah, you're pretty much defenseless at this point of the game, at least to me. Especially, you know, if you're out of ammo in a game and you have to find ammo, and, you know, the only way to defend yourself is through melee combat, and I don't know. Like I said, might be nitpicky here, but yeah, you know, I'm gonna have to say, I think this has been the only Resident Evil game that has ever come out that has featured a stamina system. Yeah, I believe so, because I don't remember 4 or 5 having a... 4 certainly did not, but I don't think 5 had a stamina system, or any of the Revelations games. So yeah, I guess this was another added new feature for Resident Evil, which was the stamina system. So yeah, and I don't believe that... I hope not, Resident Evil 7 has a stamina system, because yeah, it really hinders the game to me. It really, I really don't like that. So yeah, like when you play Sonic games, I love to see the day come. Oh, Sega Sean will probably have a heart attack, where they make a new Sonic game, and they actually give Sonic a stamina system, where Sonic has to stop running in between the game in order to catch his breath. Are you ever going to see Sonic do that? I don't think so. So gotta go fast. And I guess, you know, my final piece of con, you know, my final con on this list here is going to have to be the melee and / stealth combat in Resident Evil 6. There's a couple of times in Ada's gameplay where it's stealth missions. I know she's a spy, she's a femme fatale, that's what she does, and we get to actually be in her world as a spy with stealth missions, and with stealth kills and stuff, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of, like, espionage games, well, except Metal Gear. that's my game right there, boy. But yeah, no, when it comes to like Splinter Cell or whatever, and I don't know, that's what it kind of felt like, but at least to me. But the stealth combat is, you know, it's okay and stuff, but even stealth, even like, I don't know, vehicle combat was more fitting in a Resident Evil game than it is stealth combat. The melee itself, the melee combat, melee is acceptable. I'm half and half about the melee combat in Resident Evil 6 because, melee is good. I don't think it should be used throughout the whole game because you can use melee as much as you want, well, as long as your stamina permits you to do so. But I feel like melee should only be used or activated when you stun an enemy. You know, like how they do in Resident Evil 4 and 5, when you shoot them in the head, they're stunned for like a second or two, and then you're able to do a melee combat, like a punch or a spin kick or whatever, and you do a follow-up with that. But this, or even in special cases where, you know, where there's big battles or something special is going on in the game, and, you know, and it's all melee combat, then that'll be accepted. But I don't think melee combat should be done or should be able to be used all throughout the game. I don't know, it just feels weird to me. Like the part where I say special event or occasions, like when Jake, back at Jake, when he had the boss fight against the Ustanak and it was like hand-to-hand melee, okay, then that's acceptable because he's a superhuman being and he's able to fight something like that head-on, and it was a special boss battle where the two are fighting hand-to-hand, so that's acceptable. That's really cool to do and stuff. But, you know, when you're fighting like henchmen head-on and stuff, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like they should only allow melee sequences when the enemy is stunned, and the rest should just be used with firearms or knives, you know, that you know, the traditional combat for the over-the-shoulder Resident Evil gameplay. And right now I'm gonna so far, I don't know, these are all the things I have so far, my lists of pros and cons about Resident Evil 6 here. So yeah. So honestly, all in all, at the closing of this rant, you know, Resident Evil 6 is a good game. It is. Is it far from perfect? Absolutely. Has it got problems? Absolutely. But is it really, really a bad or horrible game? Absolutely not. You know, like all good games, even good games that have been praised by millions around the world, these games have problems as well, you know, but, you know, I feel like we now, as a society, we live, you know, with this thought process or philosophy or whatever, where people judge things by looking at the negative side of it, by looking at, you know, all the bad qualities of said thing, like a game. And, you know, people completely overlook the good qualities of a game, like Resident Evil 6, you know, because you know, even a game that has been panned or judged, you know, it might have just an equal amount or just as good amount of good qualities for that game as it does bad qualities, and we completely want to ignore that. We completely want to overlook that and just want to say, you know, like some people in the world, oh, this game's stupid, oh, I'm not good at that game, the game sucks then, you know. Sean knows what I'm talking about, so yeah, wink wink, nudge nudge, Sega Sean, if you're listening to this. I bet you are. What are you doing right now? Well, anyway, you know, all in all, what I'm trying to get at here through this rant and through this message is that don't judge a book by its cover, or, you know, for lack of a better term in this subject, don't judge a game by its critics or by what other people think, you know, have thought about it through their gameplay experience, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, if you want to go try out a game, go try it out. If you're really hesitant about buying it, or you don't want to pay you know, the full price for it, wait for a price drop. There's nothing wrong with that. Or hey, I think now at like what, Redbox, they have video games now that you can rent, and if they have that game there, then by all means check it out. Or even now at local public libraries, you can even check out video games as well. They even have like the brand new titles that just came out, you know, and feel free, you know, to go to your local library and check out those games as well before buying, you know, and see for yourself and say, and who knows, you might even be surprised and be like, huh, you know what? I actually really like this game. So you know what? I am going to buy it, and I'm not going to be ashamed to do it, because no matter what people say about it, I think it's a good game. I have fun with it. All in all, at the end of the day, that's what video games do. That's what video games are for. Video games are made to entertain people. Video games are made to get people out of reality, out of real life, and just have fun. Just enjoy yourself inside this virtual world of monsters and magic and adventure and the surreal and the beauty of it all. The beauty of all video games. Whew, I'm out of breath here, sorry. You know, I just can't stress that enough. At the end of the day, games are meant to have fun, and you know, you yourself should be the final judge of how you think of the game. Be an engine, not a caboose. When it comes to, you know, all the followers or all the people following others. Be your own individual. Have your own voice. Have your own opinion. And yeah, like I said, I've learned my lesson. I have greatly misjudged this game. And because of this, too, I'm honestly thinking about rechanging my top 10 Resident Evil list from my way back from Zone 11, from my Zone 11 Resident Evil podcast. But, yeah, you know, but at the end of the day, you are your own judge, and, you know, go out there and enjoy the games that you want to enjoy, and the games that you want to play. But yeah, I highly recommend for those of you listening to this or haven't played Resident Evil 6 yet, and have always been hesitant about it because of what people say, go out there, try it out. I highly recommend it. You know, it should be really cheap by now, so you can't really go wrong either way. And, yeah, so go out there, try it out, and, as well as any other games that you have ever been hesitant about. But on that note, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Super Game Strikers, the official YouTube channel of Game Strikers. And be sure to like us on Game Strikers on Facebook to get your up-to-the-minute, red-hot video game news. As well as like and subscribe to us on Super Game Strikers Play, starring my co-host Sega Sean and longtime friend Retro Nick. This is KaijuLou. Stay tuned, folks. Check out all our other videos and future content to come. Stay tuned and take care. See you later.